Ebusua ma munyina makwa baba channel we so ye new to the channel and bombarden so be subscribe like videos no. So hit the notification bell to get notified anytime be a video and as a content you betuma about Ghana and I say beyond Ghana the ekoso if you see afa na nyina busua leave you adwen kire so e won sem be e ba ho na esi hu se usimi be pa Ghana ni nyamra yetimi so akenkan ma busua asem we asese da ho nsem about Ghana economy and said the mpanyimfo bebree e kire o ma adwen fa Ghana economy ho said the Ghana baabi a Ghana akɔduru sikasɛm ntoto yɛ baabi akɔduru nti sɛ yɛyɛ ne dɛn nti mpanimfo bebree na akyerɛ ɔmo adwene nso ne nipa a yɛbɛka no ho asɛm anaasɛ nipa a wakyerɛ n'adwene a yɛbɛka ho asɛm ɛyɛ Togbe Afede yɛn nyinaa nim Togbe Afede papa wei sɛ wɔn a wɔn nkae no koraa wɔmfa biribiara nkae no koraa kae sɛ wɔn no nko ara ne panin a yɛma no ɛsgracia wɔtumi reject yɛ ɛsɛ na yɛmfa sika no nyɛ adeɛ a ɛhia anaasɛ yɛmfa nyɛ adeɛ a ɛbɛboa nkurɔfoɔ foforɔ ɔso no ohia daa ɛsgracia no from all payment a wagye monthly from the government no also every time some someone S gracia papa we kwani nipa wotimi reject S gracia so mom get straight to what Togbe after the woman Ghana for ebusua article we from city newsroom and about on say very authentic source I said Ghana according to the paramount chief of Asogoli Togbe after the 14th would have filed for bankruptcy if it were a company ebusua ni tietem ni tintim nyina say papa no say nka Ghana Togbe after the say nka Ghana a company anka right now no nke be file for bankruptcy. Said the Ghana abedru na Ghana economy Ghana sikasɛm atente apansam no. Say ka Ghana a company, it will be company na wo ho anase Ghana even private company no be na country bi so be e will be a found country also. And if be file for bankruptcy because say Ghana sikasɛm de enye kra enim de omo te finance ho anase economic management team na omo no. Enim de omo te omo ye. Was the paramount chief in an opinion the paramount chief, in an opinion piece entitled Bank of Ghana has failed us, complained about the economic and fiscal failures of the country, which he attributed to poor and ill-crafted policies. Bishop Papa no ɔse ne article no release and the statement of the Bible about the title near Bank of Ghana has failed us. As I saw, remind the Ghana for the Bank of Ghana at the Yambro. Bank of Ghana, the more promise and I said, new money is Ghana, Bank of Ghana bitimi and Bank of Ghana in Timian. I said the economy no, now fiscal failures of the economic and fiscal failures of the country. Who I said na I want the article dream now. So how money woman in now what who something nice about how Ghana has failed woefully. At so human showing how they are handling the economy of Ghana and I said Ghana sikasem and so let's continue the article. To go after the 14th argue that Ghana has failed woefully to achieve what the founding fathers of the country had dreamt of. And instead of finding ways to right the wrongs they have been committed, the country leaders have rather created a frightening sense of helplessness among the populace. After he's just saying what's on everybody's mind that will be antimi and I say, yeah, nipa obetimi account now, we need opportunity of becoming up to say to the Afede account once. I say, what our forefathers, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, JB Dan Kwamu, what our forefathers fought for, and omo dream say Ghana be drew. Omo target and I say aim and on person the Ghana drew. And I say America baby century woman baby anka Ghana drew. And yes, Anna, to see ababe. Leaders of Mudia so or my fairly woeful. Human swimming, or the Ghana form, on the Ghana Shias. Now, instead, second president and I said leader government in power. If Sabajia to say 8 years no be so, but say Ghana totally, or my Ghana Yabasam. One son Jim to more vision, or say create some sense of helplessness among the populace. I just say, one day I say, fan, will be Oba no be address the nation. I said, I can't say be a better Ghana for real. Even also wakakura we are the actions prove otherwise. Sana Papaneka. Say he likened the government's appeal to the International Monetary Fund for an external credit facility to a company filing for bankruptcy. Yanka Yafi the Yanka in some Papanankasa in the article city news by Papanankasa and some Libni. I said that Ghana we have today is obviously not what our founding fathers dreamt of. We have failed woefully, but have pretended otherwise. Instead of giving hope, our leaders have created a frightening sense of helplessness among the populace, especially the youth. So you say Ghana, country, none of the 8 years, when Shadan Tessa for first Mahama time, abusua na for freedom of speech, and I believe say it was freedom of speech. But you see, the freedom of speech you need away your no. So in your silence see 8 years never. Because you see, I can't some about the presidency and also can't some about another mamuana. One about Miama Musi and I come once some abusua. And I say, obey end up imprisonment. And I said, oh, an boys attack you. I want to check the Yži HNS time mpanimfoɔ atena ase ɛkyerɛ ɔmo adwene fa Ghana ho nsɛnsɛm no, MPP boys etimi storm hɔ, etimi storm station, TV station streaming live wɔ, ɔmo storm TV stations ɛkɔ sɛ ɔmo kɔ attack some particular person a wɔka nsɛm about government na the government yɛ n'ani ngye ho. Ebusua you see the freedom of speech na ɛwɔ hɔ no deɛ ebi nni Ghana mmara mu bi mu ɛwɔ hɔ kwa. Because Mahama time say na boys me criticizing Mahama. You do light cry na boys blame Mahama no. Say no ntimi nya na sa wo akufo ade mmere so. So kwaye na de social media. Unu say ho be kyerɛw. Ade so be end up in prison. And I say obi be share wo ba bi na say so apo aye wo pasa and so share wo life. Wo apai wani wa share wo life. It's papa na ka say dreams na our fathers, our founding fathers. Ɛwɔ na nti ɔmo gye Ghana free mu fo ne nsɛm sɛ ɔmo be handle Ghana ɛde Ghana kodu baby ɔmo ɔpɛ sɛ ɔmo ani so ade hunu ma Ghana no baby anka Ghana kodu no abusua sisi ano de yɛyɛ bɛgye baton no generation ana sɛ Nana Addo ne ba ɔmo abɛgye baton so ɔmo de to aso so ɔmo afeli koraa ɔmo afeli wofi afeli ɔmo asa afeli no koraa no instead sɛ ɔmo bɛgye ɔmo fa so atom anaasɛ ɔmo bɛgye atom na ɔmo right the wrongs na ɔmo create wɔ government anaasɛ Ghana sisi ano ɔmo sɛ pretend sɛ you ɛsɛ de ɔmo feli because ɔmo ba sisi ana Nana Addo ba na wɔkasa about the ministers, wɔkasa about the finance minister na wɔn kawan na metimi gye tum sɛ finance minister ohun bɔne bi a wɔ finance minister na finance minister nneɛma wɔyɛ nyinaa is to help the country. Bisua so obi timi ba president as a leader wotimi hu sɛ the economy ne ko na hu sɛ the Ghana sika sɛm ne ko na aba na timi sɛ abɛ defend ministers abusua nyɛmfa na Ghana ekɔ instead sɛ ɔbɛkye ɔmo atena so koraa twɛm fo ɔmo hu di wrong no so ade bɔne bi a Nana Addo ba na sɛ ɔba abɛ defend it ɔmo pretend sɛ the Ghana is sisi baby Ghana wɔ Ghana do baby Ghana sika sɛm bi bia yɛ okay Ghana is stable but bisua reality no Ghana is not stable at all. Ɔkaka ho asɛm so ana bisua nsɛm pii bisua papa no stress wɔ that thing wɔse as I said earlier in December 2021 during a courtesy call by the Speaker of Parliament, Ghana would have filed for bankruptcy if it were a company. This was effectively what we did when we went back to the IMF for bailout and implemented the Domestic Debt Exchange Program, DDEP. We eventually defaulted on our debts. Holders of government bonds suffered massive losses and outlook remains dim. Everyone was stressed out. So also will be age cry no the demonstration because of abino to ya want to ni and Ghana for Mosa. Some recent events, including the government's inability to service its debt obligations, have finally exposed BOG. Over the past several months, BOG maintained its policy rate below the year-on-year inflation rate, departing from its previous approach. And the bank recently announced massive losses in 2022, totaling 60,000 billion, and a year-end negative net worth of 55 billion, making it technically bankrupt. Togbe Afede, the 14th, added. Papa na is stressing on the Bank of Ghana. Say Nana Addo say the Bank of Ghana your dealings in the program. Assassin. Say Bank of Ghana first. Na BBI is na BBI on baby about Parliament no. Na emu da hɔ pefee a Ghana fo timi hu bi ekɔ ne bi ebisi. As a see na Nana Addo so on the Bank of Ghana take control over Ghana no. Take over control over the sikasɛm of Ghana. BBI basa ma Bank of Ghana daily is quite basa as say yin ho ano. Bisua Togbe Afede kyerɛ na adwene about sikasɛm no. Na bisua papa na kasa pa Ghana would have filed for bankruptcy if it were a company. Na some papa na ka no it's not because papa no wɔyɛ before we be attribute papa na as an NDC speaker and say NDC ni na kasa right now. But that's not the point right now. Papa na ka nsɛm about Ghana, one ka nsɛm about a political party and not just a government. Basically he's talking about Bank of Ghana. How about Bank of Ghana will pretty CCR. CCR Ghana yɛ ho kyerɛ. Na sikasɛm so baby a sikasɛm bad time. Baby sika nyina egu na Bank of Ghana. Sɛ ɛhɔ nhyehyɛeɛ no ankɔ yie a, bɛyɛ dɛn na sika no a yɛba abɔnten ama yɛyɛ timanfoɔ anya bi adi no nso yɛtumi anya bi adi koraa. Yɛnnya bi nndi, ɛnyɛ sɛ yɛnnya bi adi no. Sɛ Bank of Ghana operations no ankɔ yie a, Ghana yɛn ho kyerɛ ara na ɛbɛkyerɛ. Sɛ papa no ayi na ɔde baeɛ no ɛwɔ a, ɔsɛ it was interesting to hear Bank of Ghana officially pat themselves on the back because year-on-year inflation has dropped to 26.4% in November 2023 from 35.2% in October 2023 and 54.1% in December 2022. This trend should have been expected, I thought, because of the massive price increase and exchange rate depreciation that were recorded during the corresponding periods in 2022. It is a fallacy of year-on-year inflation numbers. They tend to be influenced a lot by what happened 1 year ago. That is why year-on-year inflation may rise in particular month, even when the general price level has fallen in that month, and vice versa. See, you cannot describe what happened to prices and exchange rate towards the end 2022 as a blip when the effects are still with us. The markets simply adjusted to the rot in the system. A return abusua emphasize mepɛ sɛ me emphasize on this statement to make it. Say the market simply adjusted to the rot in the system. The market simply adjusted to the rot in the system. Say a return to the relatively lower inflation rate of the past does not mean prices have become lower. Year-on-year inflation rate of 26.4% in November 2023 is not worthy of celebration. Zambia and Kenya, exposed to the same global shocks, recorded 12.9 and 6.8 respectively, and the US dollar is currently trading at more than 150% of its price in cedis in June 2022. But I am glad that Bank of Ghana has finally bitten the bullet, accepting that it does not have to set its policy rate above past inflation, after decades of insisting that its policy rate must be fixed above year-on-year changes in the consumer prices index to ensure positive real returns to investors. BOG had over the past several months, following the collapse of our economy, kept the policy rate below the year-on-year changes in the CPI. Maybe it was the case that they just could not set the policy rate above the recent hyperinflation rate. In December 2022 article, Our Self-Inflicted Monumental Economic Crisis, I presented my thoughts on the reason why we Ghanaians find ourselves in the undeserved economic mess, given our massive human material resources endowments. The Ghana we have today is obviously not our founding fathers' dream. It's obviously not what our founding fathers dreamt of. We have failed woefully, but have pretended otherwise. Instead of giving hope, our leaders have created a frightening sense of helplessness among the populace, especially the youth. As I said earlier in 2021, during the courtesy call by the Speaker of Parliament, Ghana would have filed for bankruptcy if it were a company. This was effectively what we did when we went back to the IMF for bailout and implemented the domestic debt exchange program. We eventually defaulted on our debt. Holders of government bonds suffered massive losses, and the outlook remained dim. We have been brought to the brink. We have been brought to the brink by despicable, dishonest, corrupt, reckless, arrogant, and divisive leadership. We are also victims of the bad fiscal and monetary policies. We owe our relative peace and stability to the resilience and patience of Ghanaians, and I pray that we remain so. I know what suffering is like, and that is why I will continue to share my thoughts in our development challenges. Abusua, what he wrote in the dɔɔso kyerɛ sɛ wohu a wotumi hu economic nshambles nyinaa wɔ hɔ no the chickens have come home to roost ana ɔsɛ dɛn policy rate, interest rate and inflation. Abusua ɛdɔɔso. But sɛ abusua wotumi hu sɛ papa no is really stressed out on how the economy and also how Ghana is being run right now. Wohwɛ sɛ osimi ɛbɔɔ wɔn akyi wɔ ha no a wotumi sɛ papa no ani abere paa. Ɔse we've been brought to the brink by despicably and dishonest, corrupt, reckless, arrogant and divisive leadership. Abusua government na ho asɛm na wɔka na naa do ne ba wɔ mi aban. Ɔse wɔn yɛ dishonest, corrupt, reckless, arrogant. and divisive. Divisive. Which are papa no kyerɛ n'adwene wɔ economy no. Ɔkyerɛ sɛ deɛ sisi how bad the economy has become. And I hope say mo a motie anaasɛ mo a mohwɛ comment na ɛbɛba no won't be a personal attack on the man. Ɛbɛyɛ contribution to what the man just said and also what the man has posted that maka akyerɛ mu no. Mobɛ contribute anaasɛ mobɛkyerɛ mo adwene wɔ ho na mo attack the man because what the man is saying right now is what most Ghanaians ɛpɛ sɛ ɔmo tie. And what most Ghanaians have been waiting for. Opportunity be saying nkurɔfoɔ bi nya nkɔmmɛka sɛ say but they don't get the opportunity. Right now the man has gotten opportunity no wɔka Ghanafoɔ adwene akyerɛ ya. I don't attack the man personally. I'm from a political party. I've been some man associated with, and I said, wow, open commenting you associated with. But the man is just speaking what he knows and what he wants Ghana to be. And what he's saying right now is not lies. And I say, it's facts. Facts. And I can want some CCN. So Afede, he's a respectable man in himself. What's doing? And found the political party in power. So one party you are. People have been saying so he's associated with IA and this, and for saying this will pop up. And bet you now. So, you know, you about what Togbe Afede account about this. You see our current state of the country, the economy, and the Bank of Ghana, how they are dealing with things, no, and then leadership, how the government is ruling Ghana. See, she also tell what so me who adventure. I'm adventure and show me sure say I something positive, and as I say something where you are not totally agreeing with the manner. Any abusive ways and not be and be coming out. Such a wide universe also beat me every day what doing be. I'm a for I'm also with you. Near who said the Ghana union because the more watch our admin number for so take into consideration. They said they were doing. I'm sure thanks for watching. Please subscribe to get more content and I'll update our channel user. Thank you for watching.